Welcome back to the channel. Nick Saban leads with the lessons that he learned from his father and is the reason he has become the most successful coach in college history. Nick Saban has won the most national championships, only coach to have a first-round pick in every position. He has more first-round picks, period, than any other coach. Let's talk about how he got there. Thank you all for liking and subscribing to our channel. It's growing, and the most significant thing about this is that we're building a community where we can engage in thoughtful sports community conversation, and that is the most fulfilling thing to me. I really appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Nick Saban's dad, Nick Sr., immigrated to America with his father when he was 13 years old. Of Croatian background, he and his family settled in West Virginia in a small coal mining town where Nick Sr. owned a gas station and a Dairy Queen. Nick Saban Jr. is famously known for the process, and the process has its roots in what his fathers taught him: to do what's right the first time, to value work and not just finishing for the sake of finishing. This is the exact words that Nick remembers as a child. Success is never final. It's a continuation. You need to focus on always doing the things that got you there, the things that made you successful. Nick Jr.'s first coach was Nick Sr., and he taught him the importance of treating people well, striving to be a champion in everything you do, but the only way to be a champion is to focus on the process. Nick has become famous because of the process, but that process is rooted in Nick Sr. and is rooted in his immigrant story in coming to America. Let's listen to Nick Jr. tell his story in his own words.
Noticed that last year when you invited us on the plane after you won the championship. Take a little 90-minute nap, wake up, laptop's open. You're watching the game from 5 hours ago. What within you developed that drive?
When I was a kid growing up, my dad was a perfectionist. He had high expectations for not just how we played football or baseball, he had high expectations for how we treated other people, what kind of compassion we had for other people, how we helped other people. When I washed a car and it had streaks in the side, I said, wash it again. So kind of grew up learning that if you didn't do it right, there were going to be consequences that you had to deal with. And it was much easier trying to do it the right way the first time.
I love to see your appreciation for your dad and his influence. How important is it to you to be a compass for these young men that you bring into your program as a man, much less a football player?
Look, my number one goal for the players in our program is that they can be more successful in life because they were involved in the program. And when they commit, I tell them, I don't really want you to commit to Alabama. I want you to commit to all the things we're going to do to help you be successful.
That's really powerful stuff. And the importance of that work ethic is what Nick Jr. Is working so hard to instill in the young men he coaches every day. I want to say again, when I say Nick Jr., I mean Nick Saban Jr. We just used to saying Nick Saban. I think the lesson I want you all to take away from this is the power of the male role model and leadership in training young men on how they need to be men, because you don't know unless you have a role model. Nick Saban, for him, had a great role model in his father, and he's tried to take that on and instill in the young men he coaches. There's a big thing that Nick Saban always gets in trouble for, and that's giving young men a second chance. Nick Saban is famously for saying, I believe in second chances no matter what. Whether it's the story of Mushin Muhammad, who got in trouble when he was at Michigan State for firearms, and Nick Saban gave him a second chance. He didn't know him from nothing other than the fact that he coached him, but that was his first year. But he still was willing to give him a chance. And Mushin Muhammad took advantage of that chance, and he has become, he went on for a 13-year NFL career, very successful businessman, so on and so forth, and has been able to impact lives of other people through the charities that Mushin Muhammad has been able to take part in around the Charlotte area, because he played for the Charlotte, the Carolina Panthers for so long. So but all that idea of the second chance of supporting work, Nick Saban's family got a second chance by coming to America. They got another shot at the apple working and developing their family here in the States. And I think part of that comes from his own story and his own tradition. To give further context to this whole story of how Nick Saban took what he learned from his father and he brought it into the process, let's listen to Nick describe what the process is.
But tell us about the process. Define it for us so that we all understand it, because I think people that are in the audience today that are attempting to build a business, run a business, a family, talk about the process, if you would, for us.
Well, the process to me is just a definition of the things that you have to do to accomplish the goals that you have. So obviously, if you don't have any goals or aspirations or sense of purpose in your life, then how do you define the process of what you have to do to accomplish that? So that becomes the most important thing. What are your goals? What's your visions? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? And then define exactly what you have to do it. And then the next thing is, how do I have to edit my behavior to be able to do it? You know, Kobe Bryant was asked when he was here several years ago speaking to our team, how did you drop 60 points when you were 40 years old in the 82nd game of the season, your last game that you played, coming off an Achilles tendon injury? And he said, when I made a decision to play that season, I had to work 8 hours a day for 365 straight days so that I could get back in condition well enough to be able to play to the level that I expected to play. And he said, they don't put that part on ESPN. But then he said, that's how I had to edit my behavior as a basketball player because of the circumstance that I was in. So it's not just understanding this is what we have to do to accomplish the goals. It's also, how do I have to edit my behavior to do it? And then the next part, which is probably the most difficult, is, do you have the discipline to execute it every day? And this is where people struggle the most. There's a lot of people that know what they want to do. They have a sense of purpose. They even know what they have to do it, but they can't execute it on a consistent basis. I mean, we're all guilty of, we go on a diet, we want to lose 10 pounds. That's our goal. Slim Fast tells us exactly what we can eat every day. That's kind of the process. But 3 days later, we're eating pie and ice cream. So we don't have the discipline. And I think people sometimes don't understand what discipline is. You know, discipline's really doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done, do the right thing the right way, the right time, all the time. Those are great definitions of discipline. But self-discipline, we make choices and decisions every day that basically come down to two questions. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? And over here, there's something you know you're not supposed to do, but you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it? So we make hundreds of decisions, and it starts as soon as we get up in the morning, you know. And what I always try to tell our players is, this is a bridge that you have to cross if you're going to be successful. And it's feeling versus choice. You're going to choose to do the things you need to do to accomplish the goals that you have, or you're going to do what you feel like doing. And how many times do you hear, I mean, even my kids when they were going to school here, I don't feel like studying. I don't feel like going to class today. Well, you want to graduate? Yeah, I want to graduate. Well, then you need to choose to study. You need to choose to go to class. So that to me is very important in the mindset that you need to have to be able to have the self-discipline and understanding that these are the things that I have to do. This is how I have to edit my behavior. And then once you establish all that, like I confront players all the time, you told me this is what you wanted to accomplish. How is this behavior right now helping you do that? And it may not have anything to do with football, but so you asked me what the process was. That was kind of a long-winded answer, but really it's about mindset. It's about understanding. It's about having a sense of purpose. It's about understanding exactly what you have to do to accomplish the goals that you have. and then having the discipline to execute it every day.
Really powerful stuff. The power of setting goals and aspirations and setting in your mind what you want, then edit your behavior. I think that's the key, right? You have to have the goal. You have to have the discipline to edit your behavior. And that's why it's important for you to have around you disciplined and focused people, because you need them to help you. And the power of the team and building culture is all around how do I edit my behaviors to achieve my aspirational goals. The culture helps keep you orientated through that support and through that process. Nick Saban tells a story where Julio Jones came to campus 10 years later, and there was this young player. He missed a pass, and he was spouting and cussing and fussing and just really upset with himself. And Julio Jones, who hadn't been around the program in 10 years as a player, came up to the young man and said, "Hey, excuse me, we don't do that around here. We don't do that at Alabama. We don't behave that way," because that culture helps keep you disciplined even when you let yourself down, right? And that's why you have to have those around you who have your best interests at heart. And I think that is also part of the process that isn't often talked about when you talk about discipline and editing yourself. That's what I have. Leave your thoughts, comments on what you thought on these videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to join this community. And we really appreciate all your support. Catch you on the flip. Peace.